Karen flew a drone over my ranch, my dog took it down, and she sued me for $20,000. Have you ever wondered what happens when a nosy neighbor, a drone, and a fiercely loyal dog collide on a quiet ranch? For Tom Harper, a third-generation cattle rancher in Montana, that collision turned into a legal firestorm that would test his patience, his principles, and his love for his land. It was a crisp autumn morning when Tom first noticed the faint buzzing overhead. He was out mending fences on his 200-acre ranch, his border collie, Rusty, trotting faithfully at his side. The hum grew louder, and there it was, a sleek, black drone hovering above his grazing cattle. Tom squinted, shielding his eyes from the sun. "City folks," he muttered, assuming it was some hobbyist from the new subdivisions creeping closer to his property. But when the drone swooped low, spooking his herd into a chaotic stampede, Tom's irritation turned to anger. Rusty, sensing the threat, let out a sharp bark and took off, leaping into the air with uncanny precision. In one swift motion, he clamped his jaws around the drone, bringing it crashing to the ground. The machine lay in pieces, its blinking lights fading in the dirt. Tom chuckled, patting Rusty's head. "Good boy." Enter Karen Mitchell, the drone's owner. Karen, a recent transplant from Seattle, had moved into a nearby gated community, complete with yoga studios and overpriced coffee shops. She fancied herself an aerial photographer, using her drone to capture artistic shots of the countryside for her social media. But Tom's ranch wasn't her canvas, and she wasn't asking permission. The next day, Karen stormed onto Tom's property, her designer boots sinking into the mud, waving a lawyer's letter like a battle flag. She claimed her drone was worth $20,000, accused Rusty of being a vicious beast, and demanded Tom pay for the damages or face a lawsuit. Tom, a man who'd faced blizzards and coyotes without flinching, wasn't about to bow to a city slicker with a grudge. The truth unraveled quickly. Karen's drone wasn't just snapping scenic photos. It was part of her side hustle, a shady scheme to sell aerial footage to developers eyeing Tom's land for a golf course. She'd been flying over his ranch for weeks, mapping every acre, spooking his cattle, and even recording his family's private moments, like his daughter, Ellie, practicing her roping in the backyard. Tom discovered this when a friend in town mentioned a real estate ad featuring drone shots of his property, listed without his consent. Karen wasn't an artist. She was a snoop, profiting off his privacy. Worse, her drone flights violated Montana's strict privacy laws, which prohibit unauthorized surveillance over private property. Tom Guizhou. The confrontation came to a head in a small-town courtroom. Karen, armed with a high-priced lawyer from the city, painted a dramatic picture. Rusty as a dangerous animal, Tom as a negligent owner, and her drone as a priceless tool of her art. She demanded $20,000 for the drone, emotional distress, and legal fees. Tom, represented by a local attorney named Clara, a sharp-witted woman who'd grown up on a neighboring ranch, wasn't intimidated. Clara dug into Karen's history, uncovering a twist that turned the case on its head. Karen had a record of complaints from neighbors in Seattle for flying her drone too close to private homes, racking up fines for violating FAA regulations. This wasn't her first rodeo. She'd been skirting the law for years. The courtroom buzzed with tension as the trial began. Karen took the stand, her voice dripping with indignation, describing Rusty's attack as if he were a rabid wolf. She waved invoices for her drone, claiming it was a top-of-the-line model used for professional-grade photography. Tom's blood boiled, but Clara kept him steady, her eyes gleaming with strategy. She cross-examined Karen, exposing inconsistencies. Why hadn't Karen registered her drone as required by the FAA? Why was she flying in restricted airspace over private property without permission? And why, Clara asked, producing a printed email, had Karen been in contact with a developer offering detailed maps of Tom's ranch? The gallery gasped. Karen stammered, her polished facade cracking. Clara then called Tom's daughter, Ellie, to the stand. The 16-year-old, with her cowboy hat tilted defiantly, testified about the drone's intrusions, how it scared the cattle, disrupted their work, and made her feel watched in her own home. The judge, a rancher's son himself, leaned forward, his expression hardening. Karen's case collapsed like a house of cards. The judge ruled that her drone's flights were illegal under Montana's privacy laws, nullifying her claim. Rusty's actions, he declared, were a reasonable defense of property Tom owed nothing. But Clara wasn't done. She countersued for invasion of privacy and emotional distress, citing the weeks of harassment and the unauthorized footage sold to developers. The courtroom fell silent as Clara presented evidence. Screenshots of the real estate ad, timestamps of Karen's flights, and a neighbor's testimony about her pattern of intrusive drone use. The judge awarded Tom $5,000 in damages, plus legal fees, to be paid by a red-faced Karen. Her dreams of easy money vanished, replaced by a hefty bill and a warning to cease her drone activities or face criminal charges. As Tom walked out of the courthouse, Rusty trotting beside him, the Montana sky stretched wide and blue. He'd won more than a loss with protected his way of life, his family's peace, and the sanctity of his land. Ellie hugged him, whispering, "Rusty's the real hero." Tom laughed, scratching the dog's ears. The ranch was safe, at least for now, and the community rallied around him, their respect for his stand against outsiders palpable. Karen slunk back to her gated community, her drone business grounded, her reputation in tatters. Word spread fast in the small town, and her aerial art venture found no takers. Tom's victory wasn't just about money or a broken drone. It was about standing up to those who think they can trample on others' rights for profit. It was a reminder that the land, and the life built on it, is worth fighting for. So, what do you think? Did Tom and Rusty have every right to take down that drone? Or should Karen have had a chance to make her case? Share your thoughts below.